Yes. I bet you didn't know Rowley's a golf addict. Any kind of golf hole, he could drive it. Yes.
I don't know what wrong she say, it ain't working properly. But take a drive and see. Take a drive and see. A friend of mine recommend you as a good mechanic.
Drive it. Come Rowley, drive it.
Something inside shaking. A bolt or a screw must be missing.
Drive it. Come Rowley, drive it.
I know you could fix it.
I know you could fix it.
Drive it. Drive it. Drive it.
Hey, welcome to episode 74 of the Karene Asche podcast. Welcome back to everybody who's been listening. Thank you for everybody who's been tuning in for a long time. If this is your first time, consider subscribing on any podcast app, wherever you get podcasts, wherever you listen to your audiobooks, or on YouTube. You could see the episodes, right? This is episode 74. Listen again, straight into it, because I have plenty to talk about. It's a short week. Happy Divali to everybody in this short week. Anybody who going in and clean up grave for all saints and all souls, our prayers are with you. We head in the same direction. Salute to everybody. It's a short week, but plenty to talk about. Let me start with the doc now. Magdalena Grand Beach and Golf Resort Lowlands Tobago has sought to clear the air on last Friday's incident in which Prime Minister's golf cart accidentally hit one of the resort's female employees, Senior Golf Services Coordinator Deborah Gordon. In a statement on Thursday, the resort said the incident occurred between 1:30 and 2 p.m. at the golf clubhouse when staff members who were sanitizing and preparing the carts were attending to Dr. Rowley's golf cart. It said Gordon was accidentally struck after she delivered Gatorade to Rowley's cart. You know what I mean? You're doing your work, you're sending a little Gatorade and thing. Look at thing. I mean, I'm laughing, but it's serious matters. Nobody in deserve to have nothing like this happen to them on the job, right? The resort said Rowley, together with Magdalena's general manager, Vinod Bajaj, I'm butchering that, I'm pretty sure, a member of PM Security Detail and another golf employee provided immediate assistance to Gordon at the time, ensuring she was not injured and in any discomfort. It said Rowley expressed concern for the unfortunate incident. It also said Mr. Bajaj, in the presence of the Honorable Prime Minister, recommended to Ms. Gordon that she seek medical attention at a hospital to ease any concerns. The resort said during the course of the day, Rowley inquired about Gordon's welfare. So Rowley went ahead to play his golf, right? He came there to play golf, and he got his 18 holes in. It was his birthday too, so happy birthday to the doc, right? It's a birthday kind of episode. Happy birthday to the doc. I'm glad for the doc that he could play a little golf on his birthday, man. That's a nice thing, you know. And nothing against the man playing no golf and them thing, but the story kind of started to get mixed up. Well, you realize that during the course of the week, the story tried to change slightly. Because strange enough, in the midst of the story, I hear, unfortunately, she went and tested positive for COVID. Stranger boys, look how things happen. Now, she said that she get bongs and her foot was, her ankle and stuff was hurting, but she get bongs down. If you know a golf cart is a funny thing too, right? Let me say this. Because my fellow podcasting brethren, Mr. Brian Hiraman from the Brian Hiraman's Viewpoint podcast, I remember him going on the golf course one time and crashing. Thank God the river had a little embankment, but he would be straight down inside the river in Millennium if it wasn't for that little embankment. And he crashed into the thing. So a golf course is not as safe as a car. It has no seat belt. It has no emergency braking system or hand brakes and a foot brake. It just literally, if that in drive and you switch it on, it could jump forward or jump back if it's in reverse and them things. It only has two gears, front and back, right? So it's an unfortunate incident, and she working on the golf course as well. So I'm sure with being on the job, they had to take care of her injury. She got injured in the line of duty, you want to call it. But the story started to mix up when you hear the COVID thing come on. Because I really find it strange that she said she got bungs and she was feeling okay. She drove herself to the hospital. And then she started to get chest pains. Now, that I find strange, right? To me, if I bung somebody, number one, my hands is shake too much, right? So if, unfortunately, I get an accident and bung somebody with a golf course, I don't think I will be able to continue playing golf that day. I'm pretty sure golf done for me at that moment because I can't concentrate. I can't focus again. And also, I probably want to go in the hospital with that person or carry them in the hospital and things. So I find that was kind of strange. You have your security detail and things, then nobody in leave to carry the woman. But maybe she said that she was going to go for herself. And the way it sounded, at least from the article I read, is like somebody get bunks and they say, nah, all right, doctor, all right, don't worry yourself. And they telling her, no, better you go in a hospital, seek medical attention. You know, we people, Trinis and Begonians, we like to say, nah, I good. I will just swallow some Vicks and rub some soft candle on that and I good to go. I mean, drink a Vervine tea and I good. But the woman said she was getting chest pains. So she ended up going in the hospital and this woman found out she had COVID. Now the doc, if you're following the course of this week, the doc had to go Scotland. Is Scotland there in England? Which part is? Climate summit, wherever it is they're going to. And this man had to go. So technically, if it come out that he's exposed to somebody who end up testing positive for COVID, he would be in a quarantine period. He wouldn't be allowed to travel and all that, even though he vaccinated. So I think somewhere between the two stories, it started to get mixed up a little bit, right? Because somebody clearly decided that, listen, we're running with this version of the story where I was never in contact with the woman. I stay in the cart and I think we go into that story. But then that story started to look a little bit like it lacking compassion, like you bunks the woman and you decide you ain't coming out the cart. So the stories clearly get platter because listen to this next version of our article. This is from Loop TT, right? Dalisa Guralal is the reporter. Amidst criticism from political opponents for his apparent disregard for the well-being of a woman hit by a golf cart he was driving, the Magdalena Beach and Golf Resort has corroborated the Prime Minister's version of events. The UNC Women's Arm accused the Prime Minister of abysmal display of misogyny in the matter, claiming he has a history of disparaging and insulting behavior towards women. Remember he said women like golf courses? Funny, yeah? But a statement from the resort's management sought to clarify the facts surrounding the incident at the golf clubhouse last Friday, following an article published in the Express newspaper yesterday. I suppose that's what I just read, right? According to MGBR, Magdalena Grand, whatever that is, the doc offered assistance and expressed concern for the woman's well-being after a golf cart he was in came into contact with her, causing her to stumble and fall. Now, I ain't even reading the statement he put out there because the statement sounds like it come directly from a lawyer. But Dr. Rowley expressed concerns for the woman's well-being, and Bajaj recommended that she seek medical attention to rule out any injuries, and so on and so on and so on, right? That's how it went. So, then trying to corroborate this story where he initially said he sit down in the cart, somehow it come out that he was in contact with the woman. But listen, no 2-week quarantine period. He went ahead on his trip as normal. And then by Monday morning, you're seeing pictures of he and Boris Johnson getting each other a little elbow off. Boris Johnson didn't have COVID at one point in time. Was he COVID positive like Dr. Rowley at that point? I'm pretty sure he vaccinated by now. But neither of them have no mask. And this is why I be saying, right? It's better we come out and say it have different standards for different people. Is that important, this thing? I remember saying that like many, many episodes ago. I think it was when the borders were closed and I was saying the Prime Minister family more important to come and go past the borders than me or my family. The job they're doing, their families at risk, they have a different set of rules for them. I could accept that. I think the problem is when we try to act like if they following the same rules we following or supposed to follow the same rules we following. And then you hear they went to the hospital for a PCR test, which was an extra vaccine, and then they had to, you remember Paul me? And now we hear you bongs the woman, but you ain't come out, but you come out, but you ain't think but you're traveling still, you know, it just do pass the smell test. But I mean, happy birthday, nonetheless. I hope you had a good birthday. I hope you enjoy your golf day. Prayers go out to Deborah Gordon, right? I hope she okay and she recover from both that terrible accident, unfortunate accident. That them things can happen with golf carts. And I also hope that she recover from COVID as well. That's sad news. I mean, I suppose if you want to look at her upside, thank God she find out. So she ended up going in the hospital for some reason and she found out she had COVID. So at least she could get the treatment that she need. But unfortunate, all wrong, man. Taking some crazy.
I know you're prepared, so drive it, drive it, drive it.
Yes? Drive it, come Rowley, drive it. All right, crazy dancing. Yeah, what's going on, right? What's happened this week? We have plenty of little stories to cover this week. You know, it's a short week and a short episode. So again, through these things quick. Gary Griffith, 55 more murders. Oh wait, I should probably talk about what happened with the climate change thing. Let me go on to that climate change thing with Rowley and them at now. And I want to just take a quick minute to salute Mia Mottley. Now, politicians is politicians, right? And you know, I like to give them some licks and things, and you know what I mean? We like to get we kicks off of them, but when they come good, yeah, they say they come good. And I don't know what's the feeling about her in Barbados, because just like every other politician, I'm sure half the country celebrates everything you do, and half the country is say a waste of time and so on, right? Just like here. But one thing you could say about Mia Mottley is she knows how to put words together, and she have a kind of presence that unmatched, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to play it here, right? Because I didn't get a whole serious episode last week, so we can go serious up the whole place. But I want you to take a minute and go and listen to Mia Mottley talk at that summit. It was only 8 minutes long. And I say in summit, I probably sure had her wrong to the climate thing now. Go and listen to her words that she was saying. And in summary, let me just try and be as rude as if I could summarize what she was saying. She trying to say that, listen, we come in here to talk about climate change when 2/3 of the world suffering. We're suffering for vaccines. We're suffering because of the standard of living that we have. And there's a small portion of the world that could solve a lot of the world's problems, but nobody taking the stand in leadership to say what it is. In other words, why here not saying, I hope I write about this, why here not saying is only inviting all of us to come to this thing, but this thing is only about 7 of all you. About 7, 8 all you, concerned about all your well-being. And we just here as bystanders. So only closing one eye, you know, construction men is only close one eye, you know, because things go wrong. The leaders of the most powerful countries in the world, they closing one eye and pretending as if Africa, the Caribbean, the Pacific, and she went through all the areas where they have gross levels of poverty. We underserved when it comes to things like nutrition, access to transport, and so on. She did a much better job at it. I butchered this thing completely, yeah? But I like how she is not just unafraid to go there and say those things, because I do feel like if we've had leaders over the years who, or throughout the Caribbean, who would say what they feel and who defend the Caribbean in international forums, don't care how you feel about Rowley or Kamala or Manning or Bruce Golden or anybody, Portia Simpson. You could say what you want about them from a political standpoint, whether they like them or not, right? But they have almost all of them go to these international things and they talk their mind, they say what it is, they defend the Caribbean all the time in international spaces. But Mia Mottley have a way of saying it and a certain amount of presence when she says it, that when you see them pan to the crowd, I see Boris and all that to be shaking here. Now, a part of me had to wonder too, right? If all these old white men watching this black woman and saying, why should you sit down? You know what I mean? Why should you go and wash some clothes? A part of me is, and maybe I'm completely wrong about that. This is just my thoughts, right? But I be watching these old white men. As we saying them, this song ain't good and they nodding their head and thing. But when them going in the little private room and thing, them must say, what am she? Who gives she permission to speak? I don't know. I just wondering out loud. But no doubt about it that a lot of, you know, sometimes our leaders, while they're in power and while they're still fighting up and they're doing things and they're bouncing people with golf carts and so on, they end up being vilified, right? And because we don't like them, we ain't like what they're doing, we can't follow what the policies and, you know. But you know what tends to happen when they get older or they pass away and those types of things? We tend to look back at them with reverence, especially because we end up getting people who we could say worse off. So I remember Manning and Pandey, how people used to talk about him and how vexed people was with Manning, and he had this woman in the church and this and that, and people had hated Pandey at the time. And God bless his soul, Manning passed away, but Pandey, who seen as a national icon, I remember when they used to talk about Robbie. You know what I mean? I don't remember Chambers, but I remember them saying Chambers was dancing. And when you look back at our leaders now, well, maybe not Chambers, people kind of still saying he dancing. But when you look back at our leaders now, everybody's look at them with a certain amount of reverence. And the same thing will happen with Kamala and Rowley. I always say that when we go 5-10 years down the road and we see who we end up with, we're going to look back at them and say, you know, they was great leaders. They do so much for the country. And I guess the same thing will happen to Mia Mottley, but on a larger scale, like on a global scale. She's not afraid to say what it is, and she the way she puts it across makes it really, really memorable. And she have a way. It's kind of like why I try to do this podcast. You ever notice when she say things, she's always tied back to Eddie Grant or tied back to Bob Marley or Rihanna. She could see she have a deep appreciation for our culture and a drive to expose the culture to anytime she gets. So, like I read a little part of the article with Rowley there about the misogyny and the this and that. When we are political opponents, we always looking for a way to take a jab at them. We lose, as I was talking about this in the episode last week, we lose complete respect for the office, for the person, for who they are. You're seeing it with McDonald Jacob and Gary Griffith now. Like, all you forgetting, all was commissioner of police, or this post means something. This post means something even in both all their absence. So when all they talk about each other in ways like that, it affects everything. And we have to be very, very careful about how we make disparaging remarks about people who sit in positions that matter so much to the country. Especially because I know, whether you want to accept it or not, I know that we're going to reach a time where we're going to look back at these same people who we cussing. We're going to look at them with reverence. So, I mean, maybe I should play a song about that. It's a monarch birthday, it's a queen birthday. The queen, Karene Asche, is celebrating her birthday on Monday this week. And you see, when you're cussing the people who are in power now, as much as I do the same thing, I want us to think of this song, right? Yes? Hold them to task, but remember this. She sounds like she's not on the north stand, so.
The old people used to say,
yes?
If your eye too long, trouble will befall you. Trouble befall you.
Get up.
And when you're living in good house, sometimes just a bad house has come and call you. Brother can call you.
Hear that?
It's not to say you must settle for the mediocre, or you must take a lash from man, whether drunk or sober.
Oh man, Richie.
But sometimes women leave them man, say they're going for better.
Yes.
And in you and they embrace to know to be a monster.
Careful what you ask for. Careful what you ask for.
Keep your bird in hand and pursue your heart's desire, or you will eat from the frying pan straight into the fire.
Careful what you ask for.
Oh, what you prepare to die for. They say better the devil that you had than the one you do not know.
Yes.
Before you end up on the floor, squash up like a mosquito.
Careful what you ask for. Careful what you
wish for.
Yes.
So why you upset? You ask for it. Hey, we'll take what you can.
Happy birthday to Karene Asche, Monarch. I think it's 2011. Calypso Monarch. And serious contender all the time. And you know, we've just celebrated National Calypso. What it is? History. Calypso History Month, right? And I really saw Karene Asche on a panel in, I think, organized by the Consulate of New York. Here who on the panel, It's Karene Asche, Lord Nelson, great. A guy by the name of Whitty, Dr. Whitty, Calypsonian out of New York. So they had the New York Calypsonian celebrating there as well. And you remember Designer? Designer, legend, you know. So while they're talking and thing, they're trying to take it, you know. They had a little panel discussion about Calypso, which we were getting to a little bit, hosted by Megan Sylvester. And Megan Sylvester is in Tuco, I believe. A part of Tuco. And the discussion was lively and everything, but before I even get to that, I like seeing Designer there after not seeing him for so much years. I keep wondering, I wonder if this is the same Designer, like singy Designer. Remember Designer? Maybe we have time to play a little Designer before we leave here. But the discussion was built around like where's Calypso, where it going and that kind of thing. And I was glad to see somebody as young as Karene Asche on that panel. And the contrast between Karene Asche and Lord Nelson was something else to see. Both from the standpoint of the age difference between both of them, but the amount of respect that they had for one another and the way they on camera, because while they're there, sure they talk, they know one another from before and all that, but the way they look at one another on camera was something else to see, boy. And I enjoyed that little panel. There has little glitches and them kind of things, but I'm hoping that we could see more of that, especially because I didn't know Dr. Witty at all, but Dr. Witty have a song there, I like it bad. While I'm studying to run me and do some shopping for Thanksgiving, I want to go with my sister, you know, but I feel it cold. You see the cold, I can't take the cold. I find I must be able to control the temperature where it is, but it start from hot and I could put an air conditioning unit. Because I find when you start from cold, like it's nothing I could do about that cold. It's too cold. And I have to buy clothes to wear and thing. But Dr. Witty have a song saying he'd rather catch us in Trinidad. I'll play it before this episode done for sure. But it was just nice to see that contrast between them, and they had some performances from all of them. All of them perform a song, and boy, to see Lord Nelson perform at 90 years old and take a wine and throw down cane, and boy, listen, between he and Calypso Rose, you know, they had to keep them in bubble wrap, you know, because they are amazing. Two legends who just doing it down to the last. You see in Lord Nelson, you know he's a colorful kind of fella, and he's a dresser. And I see him there saying, no, talking and thing, and he looking like, I mean, he's strong and everything, completely present. And answering questions and stuff, I mean, talking about his own career, but looking at Calypso as a whole, and sharp, you know what I mean? So when he come in to perform, a part of me wants to know, like, if we're going to see Nello now. Well, boy, we see Nello. And Nello threw down, he cane, he take a wine and a dance. I hope it's something that they post eventually. If they do post it, I will post the link to it in this episode where you can see the performances. But great stuff by the Consulate in New York. And we're celebrating the birthday of Karene Asche. And I want to play a next one from her before we go in, because as much as she say, careful what you ask for, it have a song I find like she sing, were related to that. Like, she tell the woman that song was at that. I think that was the song she win Calypso Monarch with, right? Along with Uncle Jack, if you remember that song. And I heard her say on that panel that when she sing Uncle Jack, she and Jack Warner became friends. Like, Jack Warner, like, she too bad when she sang that. But I don't know if he listened to the whole song and exactly what it was about. But I find like she sing that song to tell women, be careful what you ask for when you're in good house, bad house is call you. So, you know what I mean? As same thing I saying about politicians, where we want to get rid of this politician and that politician, but we know what we're running into. But I find like she kind of sang a song last year that she aiming towards the men, I know. I don't know if I like it, you know. I'm feeling attacked. And if you're feeling attacked, it's saying a lot about your intentions, right? Or it's saying a lot about your ways. Listen good.
They say they're coming in by the crate.
Yes?
Make country one Spanish.
What?
And how them fire get the bait to make us one Spanish. I hear they sneaking them through the coast. Claxton better see just.
What kind of informer thing is this?
Until them brought alone us now boast.
Wait. So why is that to be brought alone as? What?
For all is sweet is sweet, men better watch their case.
Yes?
The streets you have to eat. Once you get pie and taste, are they pan and pinada? It's what they love to cook. But when they don't love nada, they'll hook you like a mook. So man, since you love your Spanish,
Yes?
learn these words before you end up dirty.
I love the Spanish, you know.
Dinero es money.
Yes?
Por miel, for honey.
Right?
Los años en tuyas, lágrimas. Santa Ania. Prepara. Yo voy a end up loco.
Why?
Con poco. Hace muy loco.
And broco.
They go drive you mad. They go drive you crazy. Mad and sad.
Yes?
With no
don't like it. I'm feeling that I man like my Spanish big Christmas time. Let me tell you, from here on in it's Christmas, you know. Oh, I don't know what you like Spanish for, but I really like La Parranda. And by the time it's on San Juan, you understand? Take a verse.
The flesh trade in Trinidad.
What's flesh trade? What is going on?
But enough of them pile woman half mad with cockapoo temper. They have a bionic radar sense. Come to smelling money.
I don't like this song, you know.
Once you're kinda loaded, my friend.
Yes?
They go call you honey. For all the mad, they working with one plan to leave you more than sad when they take your house and land. Careful, Trini men, when you start to spree. So around the bend, nothing in life is free. So man, since you love your Spanish, learn these words before you end up dotish. Caliente.
Yes?
Y dulce.
Right?
Vitamina seco. Luego vamos. Santa Ana. Prepara. You're gonna end up loco. Con coco. Hace muy loco.
Yes? And Broco.
They go drive you mad. They go drive you crazy. Mad and sad. With no money. They go leave you squanting with nothing. Loco and broco. Squanting with nothing. Loco and broco. Squanting
With nothing.
nothing.
Loco and Broco. Loco and Broco. Chili me loco can poco. I don't like this song, but happy birthday to Karene Asche. Listen, if that song reach that kind of way, you have to check your ways, huh? You have to check your ways. You know, I don't like Trinidadians too, you know, as we talking about Trinis, right? Because I like Spanish a lot. If you like Spanish to keep your loco and broco and with the pocket have poco, let me tell you what I like Spanish for. It's that time of year. Let me tell you what them Spanish will sing. Same thing in English and Spanish here. Sing with me. ¿Qué hay? Sing again. ¿Qué hay? ¿Qué hay? ¿Qué cuatro no voy? From now till the end of the year, we taking in Christmas song, eh? ¿Qué hay? Somebody translate for me.
Adiós corazón, adiós por si acaso te quiero mi amor. Adiós corazón, adiós
You can't just say Spanish, just come here, come on now. You can't say anything. From now till Christmas, it's Parang we're listening to it. It's Parang by Soca Parang. We do a full month of Calypso for Calypso History Month. Salute to all the Calypsonians. But it's a Parang ring down, we going down, you know. But we are issues to deal with, right? So let me get to some of the issues before we get back to the Parang. Gary Griffith say murder spike is linked to his absence. I thought I see a Gary. I thought they leave Gary loco and broke, but Gary's still around. Former Police Commissioner Gary Griffith is denying the police claim that there was no spike in murders over the last few weeks. In a media release on Wednesday, police said they were making it categorically clear that recent isolated reports of murders in some communities do not represent a surge in murders as being reported. The police service release did not specify where the surge in murders was being reported. Commentators on social media have linked Gary Griffith's absence from the police commissioner's seat to the increase in murders. I wonder if people know how this is work. Anyway, in a social media post on Sunday, Gary Griffith pointed out that, wait now, I need to follow Gary Griffith. Let me find Gary Griffith on Facebook. And this is why I don't have nothing to talk about when the week come on this podcast, because I follow in the commissioner page, but he had no more access to that. Let me find Gary Griffith personal page and follow that, because I ain't going to talk about here. The most excited man. It come like they say when Trump come out of office. The CNN and them fall by about 60% viewership. In this is Gary talking now, right, from his social media. In the 10 weeks or so since my contract ended, there have been 55 more murders than for the same period last year. In 18 months, or the second half of my contract from January 2020 to July 2021, there was a 30% drop in murders for the same period before, which represented 200 fewer murders. These people is children, yes? If there were 200 fewer murders in the second half of my contract and 55 more in the previous year, I've not been there. Is that a spike? I don't even know what you're trying to say. The police media release said that for the year, 72 people were charged with murder, while the murder toll up to last Wednesday was on par with last year's figures of 340. Newsday requested the monthly murder toll from August to October for 2020 to 21 and is still waiting a response from the police. Griffith also took aim at a Trinidad Express article which featured comments from so-called experts who said COVID-19 contributed significantly to the reduction in murders. There are 55 more murders for the last 10 weeks, but we are still battling COVID-19. We still have lockdowns and we still have curfew. How could those numbers be responsible for low numbers in the last half of my contract? Shouldn't the numbers have continued to go down like they did for the first part of the year? Griffith added that while there was a decrease in murders in TNT during his tenure with the pandemic, there was an increase in major cities in the US, which also had lockdowns and other restrictions on movement and so on. All right, Gary, thanks for stopping the murders, right? I need to get a drop from that Nazma. What was the girl name? The ganja girl, Nazma, how do you call her? I want to say Hussein, but I feel her wrong. When she say, thanks, Faris. I need to call her, somebody get a number for her for me now. I need to get her to do a thanks for me. I just need a drop that just says thanks. So that when these people come, you could say, thanks, Gary. Gary, that was your job. What are you talking about? This man's serious. He come in and say, hey, no, the less murders we had, the 5 less people that get murdered this year from the year before, it's me who do that. That wasn't COVID. That was no lockdowns. That was no curfew. I do that. I do that. And since I gone, they're killing people at will. McDonald Jacob don't know how to stop people from killing people. These things just make me wonder, So, you see, Karene Asche say it well, When you're in good house, bad houses call you. Become McDonald Jacob. I ain't want to say nothing bad about him yet because he acting and so on. I don't know who he was before and thing, but he seemed to want to be in this war of words with Gary Griffith. Is it that he going up for the job like he want the post as commissioner? So is that campaign he going on? Is he going to be on the final list of people that go back to Parliament weeks who vying for police commissioner? I'm sure Gary will be on the list as a recommended person, even though he under investigation. But McDonald basically rolled through and say, here was his scene. Everybody who Gary hire, you're fired. So Adrian Dunmore and all them gone. All the people who was in the article last week are gone. Dunmore had to go back and he's still on radio. You gotta go back and do your little smooth voice thing. You know what I mean? Shane Superville and Johnson Lavenga saying this from the Newsday, right? It's not my words. This is from the Newsday. The decision to sack 19 contract workers from the police service, all hired by former Police Commissioner Gary Griffith without full and final settlement of their wages, seems to be heading to court if left unresolved for much longer. The group, which involved several heads of department, were terminated last Monday by Deputy Commissioner of Police McDonald Jacob as part of a cost-cutting exercise. The Ministry of Finance said the cost of contracts under Griffith's 3-year tenure from 2018 to 2021 ballooned from 54 million to 88 million. Now, as I was saying last week, we have to be careful when reading things like this, right? Because nobody tells us what is the overall cost to run an efficient police service where people could take their vacation on time, have the necessary replacements that they need, have the equipment that they need, have the technology that they need, and so on. And when it's fully staffed, nobody ever comes out and says that in the history of this country. You will never get a figure that says to run the police service will cost us 250 million. And what we're spending now is 54 million. Because in any business, if a corporation or somebody running a business, if the budget to run the company is 200 million and half of the year pass and only spend 20 million, the board is going to ask questions. They're going to say, well, what is going on? We understaff. Why? We carded. We aiming to make a certain amount of money. We aiming for a certain result. We believe that 200 million in investment in this year will give us that result. If we only spending 20, is it that we're not going to achieve the result that we're trying to achieve? Because only banding about figures about murder, like, yeah, 300, I get 55 less. We have no goal for what it should be or what we're trying to get down to. And nobody ever comes out and says, listen, I want to be police commissioner. What I need is a budget of $200 million to run the police service a year. I need X amount of police, manpower then. I need dogs, I need guns, I need whatever, wherever. I'm talking like a fool because I don't know what I'm talking about. But you understand what I mean? Nobody's saying exactly what the resources are. And with those resources, that 200 million I'm asking for, this is the result I think I will be able to get. I aiming for, because we like murder, for some strange reason, that is the only statistic we measure police by. Nobody's come and say, all right, but based on this budget, I think I could see a reduction in domestic violence by X, gender-based violence by X, murder by X, no rape, no robbery, no nothing. People could sleep with their house open, nobody not worry about nothing, and so on. Nobody does that, but we use figures like these in the media especially, and I started from last week, I'm worried about the media. You see that article I see from Denise Wren versus what was published, her raw article versus what they published, I am worried about the media. I'm putting that on record now, right? But when you say it moved from 54 to 88, if you have an agenda, I'm not accusing the news, they have an agenda, right? But if you have an agenda, you could see where that looking like a big deal. That looking like only just increased the cost by 60%. Only 50 million is what it was before. But I'm asking, if the budget's supposed to be overall or the cost to run anything supposed to be 100, then I don't see where the cost cutting come in if it going to 88. Also, we never see these figures in relation to the budget for national security that the government has approved every single year. You understand what I'm saying? So when you say you have $1 billion approved for national security, how much of that $1 billion supposed to be staffing at optimal level? Anyway, several of the former contract workers, when contacted Sunday by Newsday, said they have not been paid off for the remainder of their contracts and intend to pursue legal action if the debt is not settled. Let me read that again, right? Several of the former contract workers who, when contacted by Sunday Newsday, said that they have not been paid off for the remainder of their contracts and intend to pursue legal action. So these people, if their contract was a year and you fired them in October, you had to pay them for November and December. Them fellas, you ain't gonna soften up them fellas' Christmas plans because you decide to get rid of them. So my question again to McDonald Jacob is, you have already decided, you've been there for the last 15 minutes. You already worked through that and decided that none of these people are needed. None of these contract people, whatever work they're doing was useless and they're not needed. So you're going to get rid of all of them, even though you still have to pay them. Now, granted that some of the people was just there to fight off people's Facebook comments, right? So when you say something bad about Gary, them could say back something bad about you. Granted, right? So that person should have probably get fired. Or you could have find something else for the person to do if it's because social media presence is important for the police force or the police service. So it might be that you tell the person, all right, you have 2 months to go, but I don't want you just, your job now is no longer to just defend Gary for whatever he do. Your job now is to post police exercise, this, that, and where you work with the people, Alexander and Marlon Hopkinson on Beyond the Tape and so on, and post what them do, you know what I mean? So he has already decided that we don't need any of these people. Coincidentally, it's the same 19 people who Gary had. One of the issues to be resolved is whether the former contract workers are entitled to allowances as part of the settlement or only basic salary. I would think you worked that out before. Sunday Newsday spoke with some of the former employees, some of whom declined to be named, even though they were named individually by Denise Wren in an article that was not published or published very different. But anyway, we have some names here. Among those whose contracts were terminated are Sheldon Edgell, the head of executive management services, Dwight Andrews, the strategic advisor to the COP, Celicia Gomes Andrews, head planning, research and project implementation, Francis Joseph, head of corporate communications, and media consultant Adrian Dunmorrow. Griffith has defended the hiring of the workers, saying that they improve the output and efficiency of the police. Well, we will never know if we are no target for nothing. We will never know if that's true or not. Responding to questions via WhatsApp on Friday, security expert Paul Nahus, who was hired as a firearms and training consultant, said while he was informed that he will be paid for the unexpired portion of the contract, no further clarity was given as to when this will happen. So we have money for these people. I want to salute them. I want to salute them for having a contract where whether you lost your work or not, they had to pay off it. I wonder if my contract works like that. I talked to my father, yes. We are not asking for anything more than what we agreed to when we were informed upon the termination. Like everyone else, we have a financial obligation to fulfill at home and must see that as a priority. I agree with you. Contacted for comment, Lisa Ghani, who was hired as the police events manager, said she was surprised and disheartened by the cuts, noting that her contract was only renewed in July. So I wonder how long her contract was for, because she have a nice little payoff there. She also questioned the reasoning behind the terminating of some of the staff roles that would have been filled, and she said she was waiting to see what arrangements would be made for payment. What else did I have here? Anything of worth? She said I don't accept that the explanation that was given was budgetary cuts, because it does not make any sense paying off. Listen, where Lisa? Who is Lisa Ghani? What she was, I want to go back up in this article. Because Lisa Ghani is the only person I find making a little sense in this whole thing. Ghani basically saying budget cuts, not sounding like it making sense. Let me read what she said, because I don't want to add nothing, I don't want to take away nothing. She says, I don't accept the explanation given that this was a budgetary cut, because it does not make sense paying off some people then hiring others to fill the position. That would be a budget increase. If you leave the positions vacant, you still ain't cut nothing if you had to pay off the people till the end of the contract. But I know a little brighter than me. So that is it. Gary, all your people out. You gone and your whole squad gone. Everybody out. It's a cleanup campaign. McDonald Jacob fed up all. He fed up all. He said a small talk. You like the small talk too. So he decided, get rid of everybody and done. So we waiting to see now McDonald Jacob how, because I don't know if they have 55 more or 55 less people dying this year. What I can tell you is I feel no more safe under Gibbs, Griffith, Jacob, Snaggs. I feel progressively more worried about this country in terms of crime and what is happening. You know what I mean? It does not feel any safer. And it's feeling like we are more and more responsible. More of my budget, where I ain't getting paid for the end of my contract, had to go towards security all the time. Because I'm frightened. But all right, well, salute to you again, McDonald Jacob time. You continue to observe and see where it has happened. I see a police service commission, at least a short list was sent back to the president. So we're looking like we're hiring back a PSC. So I might have to eat back more words about 6 more years without a police commissioner. I hope I do. But I'm also observing to see, because I'm pretty sure if Gary Griffith does not get back this police commissioner job, as it seems to be that he's not going to get it back, right? I'm very surprised at this, because I thought he was a shoe and I thought this was guaranteed and closed off already. But I just want to say that if he don't get back this job, look for Gary Griffith in a constituency near you. Yes. Play. Only play this for Spanish for man, tell me if it making sense. Like, I know. I ain't digging nothing. I ain't digging nothing. Yes. I ain't digging nothing. I ain't digging nothing. I ain't digging nothing. I ain't digging nothing. I don't know how they say Venezuelans laughing at me, you know, because I ain't digging nothing. They're supposed to know that in Venezuela. Sicharan questions link between safe zones and rising infections. Now, we see it again where infections, Dr. Miriam Richards, who I always get her name wrong on this podcast, constantly talking to us, Dr. Hines talking to us again and saying, hey, listen, we having a spike. We're heading towards a place where the Delta variant going to be the dominant variant that going on in the country with spreading faster, affecting children and so on. But now, the reason for the spike is being discussed. So, from The Guardian, reading from whoever, they didn't say who read the article. Karene East MP, Dr. Richard Sicharan, is questioning whether there's a correlation between the opening of safe zones for vaccinated citizens 2 weeks ago and the ongoing spike in the COVID-19 infections. Speaking to the UNC Weekly Media Briefing yesterday, Sicharan, the opposition shadow health minister, you see, I shouldn't read this. I should just leave this way it was. I say I wasn't going to talk about COVID. Look what I come to see now. Is it a normal thing for the opposition to have a shadow person? I swear, this is the first time I ever hearing about this or seeing this. This might just be my ignorance. So UNC have a shadow person for every minister. I want to know who is who. I have to see the shadow list. I need my friend Brian here, man, to send me the UNC's list of ministers. Please. I can't wait to see this. I had to get this between now and next week. But anyway, apparently Sicharan is a shadow minister of health. I know hearing this. He questioned the government's safe zone initiative, including the move to allow restaurants, bars, and casinos to operate at full capacity and serve alcohol. Hey, today's the day when alcohol starting back to serve. Monday of this week, we had liquor again in bars and in restaurants and so on. We out there. The question is why we are reopening the economy while we are experiencing a surge in cases. If we are throwing caution to the wind, why did we close these small businesses for over here? Siege. While he acknowledged that a balance between protecting citizens and allowing them to earn a living must be struck, he claimed the Safe Zone initiative in its current form appeared to encourage a super spreader scenario. Addressing the requirement for vaccination cards for entry into safe zones, Sicharan said the Ministry of Health's current policy of allowing photocopies and electronic copies of vaccination cards to be used made it easier for fraud to... Siege. This was Sicharan come out to say. This is why nobody put a name on this article, because it's shame all the writers. Who covering Sicharan? Alright, I'm going to get through it. I get through it. He called for the introduction. No, wait, with the fraud party now say. He says, so no copying and no printing on your phone because it leads into fraud. He said you could easily send a screenshot of your own card to an unvaccinated friend who wants to enter a safe zone. He noted that from his experience of visiting safe zone, staff seldom request photo identification to verify vaccination cards. I have had the exact opposite experience. Every restaurant I went that was a safe zone asked me to see my ID and my vaccine card the first time I came there. The second, they told me that after that I could keep it on my phone, but they needed to see the original one the first time. And when I go back, they asked me to see it on my phone and my ID card. But maybe you went to different places. I'm sure. We probably not in the same circles. Sicharan encouraged Health Minister Terence Dialsing to consider and adopt a system introduced in Antigua and Barbuda under which vaccinated citizens are issued a QR code. And QR codes are beyond fraud, right, Citroen? Of course. The QR code, when scanned, will give the authorized agencies access to a live database with real-time vaccination status. All right. You can't copy a QR code. I understand what you say. Citroen take issue with a segment of the population, number 20, Regulations 2021, which mandates that unvaccinated employees at safe zones must provide a negative PCR test or another approved test every 2 weeks. He questioned the efficacy of the policy, as he noted that the results of PCR tests are only valid for 3 days. All right, that sounds like making sense. An unvaccinated employee can, in theory, be COVID-19 positive from day 4 to... All right, okay, from day 4 to 14. All right, good. They're making some sense each. He called for the introduction of approval a cheaper and quicker over-the-counter antigen. All right, Citroen, we see where you're going. Good of you to be a shadow health minister. I don't know why I now knowing this. I thought I'd keep up to date until I didn't realize you were a shadow health minister. But keep coming with your suggestions. I like what you're singing. Some of what you're saying, little shaky. But you're ending strong. I like where you're going overall. I like your direction. I might vote for you. You could vote for a health minister. Citroen, I might vote. Next election, just check for me. On to more news. I find the safe zones kind of empty, to be honest. I ain't finding no bunch of people in the safe zone. The safe zone is the safest place because nobody ain't going. But we had to keep in mind that a lot of Trinis, or some Trinidadians, went to Miami Carnival a couple weeks ago. And it was wild and frisky, you know what I mean? It didn't have too much of mask wearing or nothing like that. Of course, I think that you had to be vaccinated to be a part of the bubble. Either that or provide a PCR test. But it's similar to what Siege saying, right? Siege saying your PCR test might say you don't have COVID now, but if you go Miami Carnival for a week and a half, we can't guarantee that. I remember a lot of people saying when all these people come back from Miami Carnival, are we going to face a surge? And we're seeing a surge now. And the articles going around almost weekly saying that people breaching the safe zone thing too. Where somebody was, I think one bar get fined twice for having unvaccinated people in it. And to be honest with you, I don't think vaccinated or unvaccinated people could stop or curb the spread of the Delta variant or any other variant for that matter. So the spike in numbers probably have a lot to do with all of the above. We're moving around more business places open, the borders open and people coming all the time. People in Miami Carnival and take a little fet. And anybody who go out now taking a little fet. You see, everybody who I see in traveling, I just be judging it on Instagram, right? Them ain't wearing no mask and thing in them countries, no. It's not like if people, they might be vaccinated, so you train caution to the win a little bit, but it might lead to increased spread. I do believe one thing Citroen say there to be true. I feel we reach the point where we pass, I would be surprised if we go into another strict lockdown. And not seeing the point of the curfew at this point in time. So I think this is November when that curfew is supposed to come to end. I would be surprised if they try to extend that for another 3 months. I also find it surprising that the beaches aren't open yet because he said throw caution to the wind, right? I feel we reach that stage. We reach a relaxed stage of COVID management where people basically taking a step back and say, listen, 95% of the people who in ICU or who on life support and that kind of thing, then unvaccinated, the system almost to capacity. But we ain't stopping nothing. You had plenty vaccine, you had plenty options to be vaccinated. You choose not to be vaccinated, well, deal with the consequences, which is what unvaccinated people have been asking for this for the longest time. What they wanted was choice. And that is what they get. So I suppose you have the choice to saying if you don't want it, you don't want it. But don't expect me now to lock down the country, stop the economy, everything to stop the spread of something that you comfortable getting. Because it means to me that you're saying if you don't want the vaccine, you're comfortable with your chances if you were to get COVID. And it's the reality now. I can't remember if I talked about this last week, but next man in my little parang side passed away. And his statement was that he wasn't ready. When the first man died, I talked to all them fellas. Them fellas is some old boys. It's a rum side, right? And I keep telling them, I say, listen, your lifestyle and all your age, or you're not surviving no COVID. You understand? Or you ain't gonna make it. So better all take all the chances with the vaccine. But one of the things that happen, right, is everybody knows somebody who will get the vaccine and dead the day after. Everybody. You know what I mean? So he keeps saying he ain't ready, he ain't bothering with that and thing, but I had to respect him. I can't think, I mean, it's sad and everything, and we reach a point now we hardly have a parent side, but from what I understand, I learned from last week was that he ain't going to hospital neither them fellas decided they ain't going to hospital. So if you do, them is genuine non-trusters of the healthcare system. They don't trust vaccine, they don't trust doctor, they don't trust nothing. So he stay home and God bless his soul, he passed away home. So salute to my boy Peter. If I didn't do that last week, let me do it now. That's my guy. But another thing happened now as the economy, I want to make a little runway, as I was saying. I'm frightened to go in because suppose I go on the border close. I'm frightened. But I might go. But the tourism minister, in the midst of all this, while I say in Miami alone having carnival, like we having a little bit of a carnival too. This is by Curtis Williams from The Guardian, right? Tourism Minister Randall Stoops Mitchell has announced a series of initiatives which he hopes will make this country a destination of choice post-COVID-19 pandemic. Randall. Rands, it's a nothing name post-COVID-19. So let me forget that one time. But anyway, carded for the end of August. I'd assume that's 2022, right? Speaking in the Senate during the recently concluded budget debate, the tourism minister said that in the June-July months, the ministry believes there's a possibility of packaging and marketing as a festival the number of band launches that occur during the period into a band launch season occurring over the space of 2 weekends, which we know as band launch. Which, as we know, a band launch takes the form of a model runway with costume designs, models, and designers during a premium fair. Just pretend you hear what I say there just now, right? I ain't so good to read it. He told the upper house that following the band launch initiative, the tourism ministry sees the possibility of attracting visitors who could not make it to the kind of... Hear what he say. We can just read it and think it's a problem. He basically saying that the normal band launch season that we have, right, which is somewhere around the end of August, where bands usually come out with the thing. He trying to see if he could package that and make it into a tourist attraction. That would be interesting. I don't wanna, maybe I shouldn't comment on the idea yet. Let me say this. I like the idea. I like the initiative. I like that we had to get in early on the festival thing because people gone ahead and leave us. By August next year, we'd have been well behind all the festivals that the world having. And we will have some catching up to do in terms of attracting people for Carnival 2023. What year are we in? This is 2021? And we're in November now, right? So, 2021. 2022 August is when it's over, right? So they're looking like we're having a carnival in 2023. So I think it's a good idea to try to attract people to the band launch. I just always feel like our tourism product so one-dimensional sometimes, boy. Like we trying to get people to come here to go one or two band launch where we see the same set of costumes over and over. Like I wonder who we consider to be tourists. Is what we trying to attract is tourists or like returning residents? Because you ever noticed something about our band launch season? Our band launch season doesn't include anything except showing of costumes and playing of old soca. Because typically in August of any year, you're playing the soca from Carnival of that year. So if we were doing a band launch today, we'd be playing songs from this year, February, with our Carnival, right? So it does seem to be that the artists on the same page with the bands. We for people who do such good productions, we don't want to make the thing into a production. Where the band launch season, Marshall and Kess and Voice and Destra and Patrice and them coming out with songs for the band launch season so that it become more of an attraction. Not saying that the band launch itself is not an attraction, but... Alright, let me put it this way. When you go Orlando, right? When you're talking about tourism and you go Orlando, them fellas playing cricket now in Dubai. Well, some people in Dubai are playing cricket, not so much West Indians. But they have a lot for you to do. You could go any place where they'll sell the whole set of gold. You could go and ride camel. You could go and see the construction of the world. You could go Palm Islands. You could go the tallest building in the world. You understand what I mean? So in terms of a tourism product that could attract people and have a lot to do, it might be useful to get in with the artists to make sure that when the band launching and showing costumes, we have new music as well that we could feature. So you're attracting things, more people to see things, more things to see when you come here. And then we eliminate the whole rest of the festival, which is our, what you want to say, like competitive advantage and why our carnival is the best. our carnival is the best because we also have things like a camboulet, right? A peregrinade, a midnight robber. We have so many characters around carnival. We have dragons and we have devil and blue devil and all these things. We have calypso tent. You understand? There's so much that encompasses our carnival. But yet still when we're doing band launches, we do it sort of, I don't want to use the word selfishly, right? But individually. So Tribe plan an event, it seems as though in isolation. Who else do band launch now? Because Tribe own only bands. Tribe and the other bands is band events in isolation. Come and show their costumes with the sole purpose of getting people to buy. So I would love to see how Randall Mitchell get involved in this process to see if we could make that into a second type of festival. Because I've always been saying that we have a huge influx of tourists around Carnival time. I don't find we capitalize on it enough because one of the things we should be doing is saying that Ash Wednesday is not the day to leave. Ash Wednesday is the day to head to Bago and have a different type of festival the way you could pop your foot and recover from all your sunburn and them kind of things, you know what I mean? Some wellness tourism, you know? But if it is we have outside of Carnival time now, something that could attract a large percentage of those types of visitors, I feel we're onto something. So the band launch season might be the right time for it, but I think we had to figure out a way to create an immersive experience for people who come in for band launch season, just like what we do for Carnival season. And I'll explain what I mean before I move on from this, right? I went to Miami Carnival once, and I really didn't enjoy it. I mean, I enjoyed the little one fete I went to. I like Tootsies. But you know what I mean? Outside of that, what makes it different for me to go into other carnivals is that when you leaving to go Miami Carnival or leaving to go a fete, the rest of the place in work mode, they going about the business like normal. The malls full, everything is moving as normal. Whereas with Trinidad Carnival, the whole vibe and energy of the country is on Carnival. And I find we don't sell that enough because even if you say people who outside of Carnival, like Christians, might have a church camp and thing, that is still built around Carnival itself. So they had in Toko and Blanchishes and them kind of things, and everybody around the savannah waiting for the Mashgra to done so we could start Juve. It's sort of, Carnival Saturday have a unique vibe on its own, or Carnival Week, let me talk about that. Because everybody heading to pick up costume. Who thinking they still had to go a fete when you're walking down through town, a man had 10 band on his hand, how much fete he went. People had to get up early and go boat ride on a Saturday morning and then go fete on a Saturday evening and still get up for a breakfast party. We have a sort of immersive environment that we create that I feel is real hard for Jamaica. Barbados have a vibe too, but they're not going to be able to duplicate what we have, or worse yet, things like Miami and Labor Day and Berlin and LA Carnival and things. They can't duplicate that. So I'm just eager to see what this looks like next year, August. And if we could get all the stakeholders together, so we have something that is completely immersive. I see that they finally saying now pan is the national instrument. I thought that was always the case. Apparently legislation now come. But there's no pan at all around band launch season. So hopefully Randall Mitchell making this into something where people could have that sort of experience twice a year. I eager to see what I look like. And I ain't playing no mass in August, and I'll tell you, I only playing mass once a year. So it would be nice to see how they do that. And if we could get the promoters, the band leaders, the pan men, everybody together to create that, I think we're onto something. So Randall Mitchell is now my new favorite MP after Sicharan. I wonder who's UNC Shadow Tourism Minister. Now, I have a parental player. But let me tell you something, is movements we're making. A fella dropped something here for me and tell me the name of it is Abuela's Homemade Puncha Creme. So all you know is all downhill from here. I tell always a Christmas episode. Let me see what the Abuela's saying. If only feel we engage, we're not leaving here till we tight tonight. A branded Corey Shepherd podcast glass. And I'm going to deal with this very, very wicked right. But a matter of fact, let me play this song first and get me in the mood. If you want to start Christmas, I go start. I can't shake my rack back and shake a little bit.
el que toque con el que toque la puerta.
Here's how it's going. When you see a play-by-play, you're supposed to get a drink one time and so. This is week 1 of the Christmas episodes of the Corey Shepherd podcast. And I was expecting drinks here every week from now till the New Year's. You know. You see why Venice is confused? Ampelo piti pitapa. If you know the chorus, I'll sing something. Ampelo piti pitapa. On to more news. And listen, the name of the puncher creme is Abuela's Cream Liqueur. Let me get the number and everything. I think I drink a little heavy on the Abuela's, but I ain't seen the number here. Call me. And I go get the information for Abuela's because you see me? I think I in too deep already there, but a little strong. It's a little strong. Fighting on. Cox's confidence grows as Paul reaches world champs quarters. I fight for sports news this weekend. Because I tell myself by the time I come back here, West Indies in a kind of a gear. Salute to Chelsea. Let me start there, right? But Chelsea is now on top of the Premier League. By the time you're listening to this, we'll be heading to on top of the Champions League, wherever that means. So Chelsea is back. A bad talk Manu, and I tell myself by the time I come this week, Ole would be fired. But rather than getting fired, Ole is getting people fired. Ole is clearly a trini. Ole ain't taking no loss work. Ole make Nuno get fired, and they say Tottenham supposed to get Conte now as their coach. Alright, I see men just last week, I see tweets. I'm not naming no names, but I see certain men who I know is listening to this podcast, who is Tottenham Spurs fans named Al. Say they're done with Spurs. I ain't calling no name. Now that they get Conte, I'm waiting to see what men tweeting this week. But anyway, Chelsea's on top, and that will not change. We're going to win out the league this year. And in some local sporting news, Nigel Paul is fighting on the AIBA World Boxing Championships in Serbia. Tomorrow, I guess that is Tuesday. Oh, wait, when does the article come out? This article is on the 31st. So the 1st of November. Wait now, when is the 1st of November? This man should have fight already? Well, let me see if I find anything about Paul. Paul, when he lost or what? Alright, whatever this is the article I've seen, right? I ain't seen nothing else on this. Trinidad and Tobago super heavyweight will take on Turkey's Berat Akar in the quarterfinal phases of the competition following his victory over Spain's Ayub Gafar yesterday. The quarterfinal round bouts at the World Championships will represent a breakthrough for the Rio 2014 Olympians. It will be the first time that Paul has got so far in an international competition. Wait now. This. Let me just Google Nigel Paul for a second here. Because I had suspected that Nigel was the same man who went to sleep some years ago, who took a nap at the Olympics. And it seems as though they well, let me don't focus on that, right? The man going into the World Boxing Championships and he reached further than he ever reached. So salute to Nigel Paul. You know what I mean? We looking forward to seeing that. I wonder when they're showing that. They're showing that on Thriller or on Fight or any one of these apps showing the fight. I know, but he went to even a couple bouts so far against somebody from Spain and against somebody from Albania. So my boy is moving on. Oh wait. No, he lost one to somebody named Waldrop, the Americans experiential. No, he going on. I don't know what's going on. Not to be honest with you, I'm trying to read this article here and I'm more confused than I was in the beginning. I'm going to read from the Newsday. He remains Trinidad and Tobago's last hope at the AIBA World Boxing Championship. On his World Boxing Championship, as compatriot Blessing Waldrop lost his opening round of 32 light welterweights bout in Belgrade. Belgrade or Belgrade? In Serbia. This Abuela's hacking up. Paul faces Spain's... I just read that. Well, let me just sip where I had a sip. I think I'm done with this episode now. Paul fighting, right? I hope he win. And if he win, we go talk about it next week. I promise only a song. Let me deal with that now because you see me, I is not to drink on the job. Drinking on the job is a problem in my life. This episode done, all. I just have a few songs to play. And I like this song a lot because I tell you, I'm considering going with my sister. I have some little shopping to do, things to get done. And I feel I need to run away from this country too. I need a little vacation. I need to relax a little bit. Thing catching up with me. But every time I study that cold, I have a special respect for people who live here and went in the States and live in them. And I don't think I ever hear a Calypsonian sum up what it takes to live abroad like this man. I used to get vexed when people come back here and they say Trinidad this and Trinidad was so and all this tell this and all. I never like that. But I respect people who leave Trinidad and leave their culture behind and think to go and make a better living in the States. And you see this fella here they call Witty. I like this song too bad. Will you take in the song for me now?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Evening.
And welcome to the tent at Tropical Paradise.
Thanks.
Well, you know we have a changing situation in the United States today.
What happened over there?
For those of you who were born here, you're safe.
Right.
For anybody else who come, Mr. Trump has a special task force that is going around looking for mistakes and lies and so on. So if you know your stuff ain't good,
We stuff not good.
watch out.
We stuff ain't good.
Another thing you're looking at is all those who are on public assistance.
No stimulus
If
checks.
you're on public assistance, watch out.
Oh God.
Another thing you're looking for is those who catching their ass.
No comment.
And this is where I come in. The name of this song is called Catch Ass.
Yeah.
Let's go. Dun, 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 joy.
Yes.
Some people will do anything in this country in order to survive. They will beg, they will borrow, they would steal. And some will downright connive.
Yes.
Catching tail, catching hell, and royal menen is all them stage they surpass. They've now reached to that special condition that you call catch ass. But I know I have a country
Yes.
that I could fall back on. And before I reach to that special condition, Papa, when you miss me, I'm gone.
Tell them.
Cause I ain't opening the doors by McDonald's to beg people when they pass. I ain't going wrong in the gas station, begging people to pump the gas.
No.
I ain't walking wrong with a cat, collecting old metal and scrap iron. And I ain't going down in people garbage to pull out empty bottles and cans. I rather go back home to my country before things get so bad.
Yes.
You see,
Catch us for catch us. I'd rather catch my ass down in Trinidad.
Catch us for catch us. I'd rather catch my ass down in Trinidad. Hey. Oh, yeah. Hey. You remember how we were happy and glad when we got that visa to come? We arrived with a suitcase of hopes and of course a bottle of rum.
Yes.
Well, some rose high, some got by, and some others really had a heart for. But rather than pack up and go back home, they prefer to stay here and crawl. But I will sing country road, take me back to where I come from. I'll be going back home with my suitcase, and of course I carrying back the rum. Cause I ain't going down by Fulton to say, hey, give me something day when a partner pass.
No.
I ain't running up on your car with no squeegee to clean your glass. I ain't putting on army clothes to play as a disabled war veteran. And I ain't bobbing and weaving in traffic with 2 Poland spring in my hand.
No.
I rather go back home to my country before things get so bad. You
Yes,
see, catch us for catch us. I'd rather catch my ass down in Trinidad.
That's this guy so.
Catch us for catch us. I'd rather catch my ass down in Trinidad. Hey, hello. Don't bother, Now Trini people are so happy-go-lucky, they just make ketchup look like lime.
Yes.
And there's one kind of clothes they wear whole year. There is no worries about winter time.
No.
Some get real creative when they see the tide getting low. Like some of them would play Obiaman and some would run the sing calypso. Even a vagrant tell me every year he sure to pick up a white woman because he will come in down Juve morning and fit in a mud mass band. So me is staying here to shoplift and then I have to peddle the things at tea. I too old to go and tote shopping bag by key food and western beef and to sell cigarettes loosely. The police feel that is too extreme.
Yes.
And me ain't begging you to buy chocolate to help out my basketball team. I rather go back home to my country before things get so bad. Yes, sir. Catch us for catch us. I rather catch me ass down in Trinidad. Catch us for catch us. I rather catch me ass down in Trinidad. Hey.
Give me your next verse.
Some of us are living just above catcher's level in this country today.
Yes.
And things could get progressively worse if Republicans have their way. With that Republican in the White House, we don't know what we have in store. There's more tax breaks for the wealthy and not even coffee breaks for the poor. So if you're living now at that level, struggling to make a dollar stretch, now that Donald Trump in power, we go have plenty more ass to catch. So me ain't staying here to wear one pants until it starts shining like silk. Me ain't eating my cereal with a fork just to recycle milk. And me ain't borrowing people money and then I had to run and play hide and seek. And when man depending on woman that does make man wash panty and sweep. So I rather go back home to my country before things get so bad. You see, catch us for catch us. I'd rather catch my ass down in Trinidad.
Tell them, catch us for catch us. I'd rather catch my ass down in Trinidad.
Thank you.
Yes, catch us for catch us. I'd rather catch my ass down in Trinidad. That is Kaiso boy from beginning to end. Salute to Dr. Witty. I don't know this Dr. Witty. I tell myself as a man no calypso. Like I ain't know nothing. But listen, before I get out of here, calypso is my first love, I feel. What's my first love, boy? Parang or calypso? If I like calypso so much, and I like parang so much, you know I had to like soca parang. All the thing what people call themselves, it have one man in particular, and one song in particular. Just let me know that Christmas starts. And it's the same thing Dr. Witty singing about, you know. You see, Christmas time is that time in Trinidad where, and last year we do an episode with Neola, right? We was talking about Christmas is not the happiest time for everybody. And I read a book, well, I heard an excerpt from a book read by Diana Gladney for the Brooklyn Literary Caribbean Festival. I hope I have that right. And she was talking about how Christmas is a time to show up a certain amount of inequality. And that's true. When you see the gift giving and that kind of thing, is really show up the haves versus the have-nots. And it could be a lonely time for people who lose people and that kind of thing. But you see me in this beginning of November, my Christmas starting today. Because as much as that inequality is show up for Christmas, what I know Christmas as, going by people and them kind of thing, house to house and parang and growing up with that tradition from my father and them, is be a certain amount of equality too. Because everywhere you go, somebody wants to hand you something, hand you a glass, hand you this, hand you food. And I wonder if we will ever get to the point where Christmas is not about the gifts no more. But it's not the presents, but it's the presents also. It's like, you know, it's not the presents, it's not the gifts, it's just being around people and, you know what I mean? And this song is capture that for me and give me that feeling like Christmas really started. Hear this, eh? Yes? Christmas Eve, full Christmas. Neighbor, neighbor,
Open the door, neighbor.
it's Christmas morning.
You should be waking. Put the drinks on the table. I hope you buy it. Me and the boys come to give you a parang. We ain't even till the liquor done. Oh, yo, yo, yeah, yeah, yeah. Come on, fellas, let me take a next one. Oh, yo, yo, yeah, yeah, yeah. We have about 10 homes to clean. Oh, yo, yo, yeah, yeah, yeah. We drinking from paint to kerosene. Oh, yo, yo, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's Christmas. Merry Christmas. It's Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Hey. I feel like I done work for the year.
Last year we went by Valley Round.
He plays smart and hide the hand. Bring one bottle of babash. You think finish with one lash.
Had to leave the man house quick. He said
Your wife was feeling sick.
that same night she was liming in the quiz. Well, if you think that he gets away,
Oh, yo, yo, yeah, yeah, yeah.
we go in my he and spend the whole day. Oh, yo, yo, yeah, yeah, yeah.
We eating and drink anything he bring.
Oh, yo, yo, yeah, yeah, yeah.
When we leave there, he mustn't have a drink.
Oh, yo, yo, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's Christmas. Merry Christmas. It's Christmas. Merry Christmas. Oh, yeah. Get it.
It's Christmas.
Oi. Big Mouth Charlie invite me home by he. Boy, he must be a madman. With a turn this
Parang band.
when the music in we vein and the liquor it we bring. This man could drink up Carnival fun and dance when you see Milan in your hand.
Oh, yo, yo, yeah, yeah, yeah.
The only thing remaining is this phone.
Oh, yo, yo, yeah, yeah, yeah.
People just lock their door and hide
Oh, yo, yo, yeah, yeah, yeah.
when they see the signs of this parent sign.
Oh, yo, yo, yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's Christmas. Merry Christmas. It's Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Bam, ba, dam, bam. Ba, bam, ba, dam, bam.
Oi,
Bidi, bidi, dam, bam.
baila, baila. Lord, give it. This whole night sprung along, diamond with the parang. He drink by everybody. We decided to go by he. When we reach in front the gate, we know it was a mistake. The man wife came out cussing him she 90. He wife quarreling, we feeling bad.
Oh, yo, yo, yeah, yeah, yeah.
He had to entertain me in the yard.
Oh, yo, yo, yeah, yeah, yeah.
The man in a shame is he tell we come.
Oh, yo, yo, yeah, yeah, yeah.
He bring out two folks and a nip and rum.
Oh, yo, yo, yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's Christmas. Merry Christmas. It's Christmas.
Merry Christmas. It's Christmas. Merry Christmas. Hey, I'm full Christmas mode. I've done work for the year. I feel like it's for me. I'm paying a vacation tomorrow. This is a short weekend. I'm paying 2 sick leave. For Tuesday and Wednesday is 2 sick leave. And then from Friday on vacation. So everybody, happy Diwali. Enjoy your All Saints and your All Souls and everything you have to do. I had a whole story to tell about how important cemeteries is to me. I don't know why I like cemeteries so much. I like to go in the cemetery. But we're going to save that for our next day. Because this abuelas is kicking up. And now read the description the men and them send me for the abuelas. Apparently it's 15% punching. I didn't know that when I start. So this episode is officially done. I will talk to you all next week. Only be safe wherever you are in Trinidad where we having rises in cases and things. Always stay safe, get low, stop, drop and roll. What are you supposed to do for COVID? Stop, drop and roll? Wear your mask, wash your hands, watch your distance, right? Talk to you all next week. Bye.